So I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I was at a party with you guys the other night, and Mr. Cooper, you told me something interesting, that the shot where Allie is looking at the camera is the moment where a star is born. And I was wondering if you could look back at your career. What was the moment that you looked at the camera? What was the moment that you could point at and go, that's where it happened?
Oh, that's interesting to put it like that.
For me, there was sort of two stages for me. Initially, when I first heard my first single, Just Dance, on the radio for the first time, I was in Canada, I couldn't believe that I finally got my song on the radio, and I felt like a star. Like if it had all stopped right there, I felt like I had made it, in the commercial world. But the truth is that I really felt like a star when I looked into the eyes of my fans. And it's almost similar to what you're saying. It's like I saw myself in them, and I knew that whatever I had written and created and the music that I had made was something that spoke to them and drew my people to me, and that we made a connection. And I think that that's one of the most powerful things that can come out of art, is when it brings people together.
I was doing a play called 3 Days of Rain, and on Broadway. It was the first time I'd ever been on Broadway, and it was a really hard rehearsal period, and I lost like 18 pounds. I thought, if I can't do this, I'll never act again. And I really thought it wasn't going to work. In the first preview, I remember walking on stage, and the character has like a 10-minute monologue after the first act of the play, or at the end of the first act. And I remember there was a moment when I was talking to the audience, and I was looking at them, because he's talking to the audience, and feeling like I was completely at home, and that all that work and all that fear was gone. And I was like, no, this is it. I'm ready to give myself to this art. So that's what I just thought of when you said that.
One of the great things about this movie is that it doesn't just focus on how fame can change you, but how it changes how the people around you interact with you and behave around you. As you guys were achieving more success and achieving more fame, what's the most interesting way people changed how they behaved around you?
I think expecting that you've changed.
Yeah.
How so? Would they just
Well,
think
sort
you
of
were
talking to you differently, and then you think like, wait, why,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you experience, not everyone, you have some people in your life that ground you, like Anthony's character in the film, Allie has her grounding friend in her life that believes in her. But, fame is very unnatural, and people just start to talk to you differently and look at you differently, and you become more of an object, I think, in people's eyes. And I said that yesterday. I said, we don't change, the people around us change. And then I think that then can catapult into a change in us, because we miss so much being treated just as human beings.
Right. And as we wrap up, the thing that hit me the most with this movie is this idea of how important of a teacher love can be, both in the best way and the worst way. What's the most important lesson that you've learned from love?
Oh gosh. That you really can't hide from being who you are if you're going to pursue it truthfully.
Yeah.
I just think that, love is the most healing thing that we have in the world, and kindness. And I think that love teaches people compassion and empathy. And I think that's what brings these two characters together. And it's what makes them fall in love is she meets him and she instantly wants to protect him. She sees that, people in the bar, are talking to him differently. And I even say, like, I'm sitting here with Jackson Maine, and he explains to her, isn't that funny how people say your full name when you become famous? Yeah.
So much of this film is about how difficult it is to achieve success and fame and then still remain true to yourself. But when you got into this business, was there anything about yourself that you were told you needed to change?
Yeah, I had a guy tell me one time that I should go take voice and diction lessons and learn how to speak.
What?
A prospective agent. I was looking for an agent at the time. And I was working in the construction business. I was a day laborer at the time. I was studying in a workshop, and I went to this agent's office, and I had a portfolio, and he looked through it, and he said, if I was you, I'd go back to Portland, Oregon. But if you're going to stay in this town and try to work here, you got to take some voice and diction lessons and learn how to talk.
Did you ever see that guy ever
I
again?
don't think he's in the business, actually.
If he's giving you advice like that, I can see why he's not in the business anymore. Everyone's journey to success and to fame is different. Everyone's ups and everyone's downs are different. They're all unique. If someone were to make A Star is Born about your journey, what moment from your life would be the best scene in that movie?
I'll tell you, there's a real blessing that comes from having a career that goes over almost 50 years now. And it's just the fact that I'm still here and I've had the incredible opportunities that I have had along the way.
Yes, sir.
I've worked with a number of really great people that I have the greatest respect for, and it's been a great journey.
Yes, sir.
I've had good fortune all the way along.
Well, we've been fortunate to be able to watch you on that
That's
journey.
kind of you. Thank you.
You know, thinking about your character in this film, I think we should all be so lucky, whether we're in this industry or not, to have that person that has our back, even at our lowest point. In your life, who was that person for you?
My mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about her and what she did for you?
Yeah, my dad worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service and for the Department of Interior, the federal government. He started out in Marfa, Texas. My folks are both from El Paso. I have great lineage going back to the 1800s in El Paso, or in Texas, period. And my dad thought I was totally nuts for wanting to pursue an acting career. But he knew that I wanted it, but never supported it. Always thought I was crazy for it. And he died at 54, so he never really, I was 18, so he never got to see what happened with it. But my mom was totally on the other side. She lived to be 97, and she supported me all the way through it. I've had great mentors in my life, whether they were teachers or friends or coaches that I've had. You know, it's just, I think that involvement, particularly in your childhood years, where you've got somebody on the other side that's older and wiser and, you know, kind of points you to the right direction. It's invaluable for a young kid growing up.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad you were pointed in this direction. Seriously, it's one of the best films I've seen in my entire life.
Thanks,
So,
Jake. It's
great
one of
honor.
the better as I've ever been involved in.